Hey everyone, welcome back to Slow Stack Society. Today I want to talk about something that we all use, and we probably use it a little too much, or more than we'd like to admit, and that's social media. Now, social media for me, being 25 years old and seeing how it affects a lot of people who are younger than me, older than me, or in my same age group, it's a very passionate topic for me that I like to bring up and talk about. And I personally have a love hate relationship with it, and I think a lot of people would admit they do as well. So I wanted to break down kind of the good, the bad, and even the why when it comes to benefits and why I think most social media is honestly a negative. So the main negative that comes out of social media, and this was the thing that would affect me the most, when I was younger, when I was like 16, 17, I used to have an Instagram. I used to have social media, and nowadays I don't have any of that. I don't have Instagram. I don't have TikTok. The only thing I use as social media is YouTube, right? And the thing that always affected me the most personally, and even still does affect me to this day when I see some financial YouTubers and some investing YouTubers, is the biggest issue of comparison, right? When we're constantly looking at other people's highlight reels or their vacations or their financial status or the things they've done in their career or their perfect relationships, right? While we're all sitting, we're looking at that, and then we're all sitting here watching it, wondering if we're behind or if we're not good enough because of how people portray their lives. You start questioning, or at least I would start questioning, like, am I doing enough? Why don't I have that lifestyle? Or should I be further on at 25 right now? And that comparison, it happens subconsciously. You don't necessarily think it in that moment, but it's starting to plant that seed of doubt in yourself, right? And that's one reason I even made this channel. I've had some great responses saying, hey man, you have a $50,000 net worth at 25, you're so far ahead. And then I've had some responses saying $50,000 at 25 is absolutely nothing, that's peanuts, right? So I wanted to make this channel to be relatable to people. So if you are a comparison person, you can compare yourself to me and you can say, hey, you know we're all in this journey together. We're all trying to get better. And it's not about who's first and last, it's about starting the process in general. I would always see these guys who are 20 something and they have 17 Ferraris and they're, barely working and they're multimillionaires. And you start thinking, like, every single decision that I've made in my life, or at least this is what I would think, like every single decision that I've made in my life, was it even worth it? Because I could be doing what that guy's doing, but instead I'm doing this, and that doubt in yourself will build up over time, and it's a very unhealthy thing to have. It's also just nonstop stimulation, especially with the whole TikTok scene right now. I'm proud to say I've never had TikTok, right? And that might make me a boomer and that might make me a TikTok hater, right? But like with the whole doom scrolling thing that people talk about, it's like there's people that sit on TikTok for hours and they just waste their life away scrolling on TikTok or scrolling on social media. And one, it's terrible for your attention span. And two, it's not doing anything for you. Every scroll is someone selling you something, promoting a lifestyle, or making you feel like you need to change something about yourself personally when you're just doing the best you can, but you start scrolling and you get stuck scrolling over 500 videos, and then you have this distorted perception on yourself. And all that noise and that constant stimulation, it's addicting, right? A lot of people are addicted to social media because it's a drug. Social media boosts your dopamine, right? And that noise, it makes it harder to focus. It makes it harder to feel content, and it just makes it harder to sit still and understand that you're doing the right thing. And especially if you're on the financial side of things, right? If you're trying to build long-term goals like saving and investing and just staying grounded, those distractions can really mess with you because while you think you're doing the best you can saving 10, 20, $30 a week or 10, 20, $30 a month, you have someone over here on TikTok showing you how they just saved $100,000 last month. And then, that comparison starts to creep in and you start to, think maybe I'm not doing as best as I can. But once again, no one knows this person's situation. No one knows if this is actually true. No one knows what this person goes through when the camera's not on them. And that's one thing that I've always hated about social media, is that a lot of it is just fake, right? You can sit there and you can see this person saying, "Oh, I saved $10,000 last month doing this, this, and this," but there's no proof. They never prove it. We don't know if this person's actually doing that. We don't know if this person has a rich family backing them. We don't know if this person is getting lent that $10,000. We don't know if this person's even actually happy when they turn the camera off, or content when they turn the camera off. So it's a lot of comparison, and it's a lot of self-doubt that gets built in with social media. And I think that's the biggest negatives that come from it. But at the end of the day too, obviously I'm making a YouTube video and I love YouTube. Not all social media is bad. There's value on social media too. And I know not everyone's addicted to it. I've personally learned about investing. I've found new perspectives by listening to podcasts, and I've gotten inspired by people who are genuinely helpful. I can sit here and be completely honest with you guys. If it weren't for social media, I wouldn't even know how to invest. I'm from that age group where if I don't know how to do something, I look up a YouTube video. When I wanted to start investing, I looked up a YouTube video. When I wanted to learn how to start budgeting, I looked up a YouTube video. So social media can definitely be extremely helpful. You just have to know how to take it in certain quantities for yourself, and you need to know kind of when to stop and when you're maybe consuming content that's not beneficial to you. So for me, the key is this, right? I like to use social media as a tool. I don't like to use social media as a scoreboard for myself. So don't compare. This is a great saying, right? Don't compare your behind the scenes, because what we live in our day-to-day lives, that's our behind the scenes. We don't post that online for people to see. Don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's front page. So by looking at social media, all we're seeing is things that people want us to see. We're seeing these guys promote things that they want us to see, promote lifestyles that they want us to see, and promote a character or an image that they want us to see. And we can't compare our behind the scenes to someone doing that. For example, I mentioned to you guys in a previous video that I took my girlfriend to a Michelin star restaurant for our anniversary. What if I was one of those people that made a social media post of me in a suit and tie at this super fancy restaurant paying all this money for dinner, and that's all I posted? You wouldn't know that I budgeted 2 months prior to this to be able to afford this comfortably. You wouldn't know that we got stuck in traffic on the way there. You wouldn't know that it was pouring rain the whole time and we got wet walking into the restaurant. It's just little things like that, But you would never film that stuff prior to that. You only film what I would want other people to see. So, once again, I don't want to ramble on for too long about this, but social media is not all bad. It's not the worst thing in the world. I understand a lot of people use it as outlets, and there's, my girlfriend has TikTok, and there's been so many videos she has shown me that are super funny and make me laugh, and there's a few creators that she likes to watch that she'll show me because we find it funny. It's not hurting anybody, and it's just a funny thing to consume in your pastime. Where the real danger of it comes from is comparing your lifestyle, comparing yourself, and thinking that you're not good enough compared to these fabricated people or lifestyles that they like to promote online. You never want to get to the point where you're comparing yourself. And if you are at the point where you compare yourself, in my opinion, I would think it's best to start opting away from social media and understanding that at the end of the day, you're living your life. You're trying to do what you need to do to gain money, to gain a happy lifestyle, to gain good relationships. And most of the times, these people online, one thing or another happen that they're in that position, and we can't compare ourselves to those people. So, if you guys agree with this, or you guys agree with my mindset on this, drop a like, drop a comment how you feel about your social media use. If you are a doom scroller, or if you're trying to get better and not be on it as much, or if you're trying to build a better mindset and life slowly, and you don't want that constant noise to make you feel like you're falling behind. But anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. I appreciate you guys for being here and tuning in, and I hope you guys have a good day. See ya.